If you're someone who travels and wants to stay fit while doing it, you do not want to miss this episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Energetically Efficient Show. I am so happy to have you here today because today I'm going to tell you all about how I am preparing to get ready for a massive spiritual retreat that I'm going on in Egypt. Okay, so when I registered for this retreat to Egypt, I just felt super called to go on this experience. I have no idea what's going to come up for me while I'm there, but I have an intuition about it that it's going to be massive in terms of my spiritual evolution, in terms of my connection to source, in terms of my getting closer to all of my gifts, my natural gifts, which, by the way, I'm not unique in this way. We all have our natural gifts. And so one of the reasons I felt called to go on this trip is just to see what's going to come up for me and how I can really hone my creative gifts and become more aligned with what I'm here to do and serve in this world. Of course, creating Energetically Efficient and now investing in the Discover Strength business, which I'm going to be bringing to Nashville, are clearly two of my most significant callings in this life. And I'm interested to find out when I go on this trip to Egypt, what sort of additional depth I can develop with my gifts. Things like, I don't know if you've heard of these terms before, but things like the 4 clairs. So if you don't know what the 4 clairs are, I want to tell you that I recommend you consider watching episode 6 of the Goop Lab series that Gwyneth Paltrow put out in, I think, 2020. It was maybe even 2019. But episode 6 is an episode called Are You Into It? Like INTUIT, basically short for Are You Intuitive? Instead of Are You Into INTO it? But I think it's a cute play on words. So the episode is called Are You Into It? And what she talks about in that episode is what are the 4 clairs. And by the way, what I'm going to be getting into this episode with you is how I'm packing for Egypt in terms of my nutrition, in terms of my fuel, in terms of my food, in terms of my macros, how I'm thinking about that trip, how I'm going to get ready for it so that I can support my metabolic health the entire 2 weeks that I am in the country of Egypt. Okay, so that's what I'm coming back to. And forgive me for not saying that right away, but I just get so excited when I start talking about this stuff. So for the episode 6 of Are You Into It? She talks about the 4 clairs, which are clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, and clairsentience. And I want to just talk briefly about what those 4 clairs are. Depending on your intuitive abilities or your gifts or what you've read about or what spiritual teachers you follow or what things you've read, this may or may not resonate with you, but to me, it did very much resonate. And so I'll just briefly describe them for you so that you can ask yourself, of those 4 gifts, which of mine right now is the strongest? Which sounds the most interesting? Which might I be curious about intuiting even more? And so just to be clear, we all have these gifts. Every single one of us has these gifts. It literally is a matter of how much have we honed into our intuitive abilities and how much of our distortion patterns in our energetic field have we gotten rid of. And I'll do plenty more episodes on that kind of topic in the future because, as you guys know, in addition to metabolic health and physical health, I am extremely interested in guiding my clients and anyone who listens to this podcast in terms of understanding the energetics of your body, meaning you have this physical body. This is the thing that we're all so obsessed with, that we think is who we are, that we identify with, that we think is us. And the reality is it is less than 1% of you. You are 99.999% energy and you can't see it. And so we're never taught at any level of education that it's real. We're never taught how to work with it. We're never even taught that we have it. We are programmed from a very young age to be focused on both our physical body and our mind. And our mind and our physical body, as wonderful as those gifts are, and as much as I obviously focus a large part of my practice on the physical body, they're a very small part of who we are, and they aren't who you are actually. The you is the soul, the you is the light, the you is the energetic body that exists around your physical body, and it actually extends out to about the end of your fingertips if you were to stretch your arms all the way out. So the reason I'm saying this is in terms of the 4 clairs, because we all have these intuitive gifts, yours may be clairvoyance, and clairvoyance would be seeing. I always say the easiest way to explain this to people is watching the Sixth Sense movie where the little boy says, I see dead people. He had a very strong gift of clairvoyance because he could see. You don't have to see dead people, by the way, for the gift of clairvoyance, but you just see things. You might see something in your mind's eye. You might see some sort of spirit in front of you that isn't there. You might just see things that are connections to you. You might see a lot of angel numbers. You might see all sorts of things that are a gift to you intuitively to send you on your correct path. And then there's clairaudience. So you may hear, you may just hear, and it doesn't even have to be a voice hearing. In fact, a voice hearing usually isn't, at least in the teachings that I've received, a hearing isn't usually from the highest vibrational of places. If you're hearing a voice, it may not be a positive thing. But when I say hearing, I mean, you almost have this internal, like just knowing that you just heard a message. So that would be clairaudience. And then claircognizance is a knowing. You just know. This is my strongest gift. I will just know. And if I ignore that knowing the first time around, then I'm going to get a lesson from the universe that's going to get me in alignment with that particular knowing. So for my four clairs, at least as they've presented themselves so far, claircognizance is my deepest knowing. And then the last one, also equally important, is clairsentience, and that is clear feeling. So you may just feel, you may have a sense in your body, you may have a wave of goosebumps that come over you. Everyone's experienced this on some level to some degree, depending on the issue. And so just know that those are the four clairs. So I'm very excited what may come up for me in Egypt. But more apropos to this particular episode, I want to talk about how I'm preparing for that trip and what I plan to bring with me so that I can support my metabolic health, support my energy levels, make sure that I'm getting the right nutrients in my body so that I'm not exhausted, because the spiritual work that I do on these retreats is already fairly tiring to your physical body, because your energetic body exists at so much of a higher frequency than your physical body. The physical body is the densest part of you. And so when you do deep spiritual work, your physical body is literally working to keep up with you. It's like your physical body is running a marathon, every single day. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the right kind of nutrients that my body needs. So I want to talk about I've got a list here that I'm looking at on my computer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to talk about 6 particular things that I am thinking about and bringing with me to support my metabolic health. So the first thing is I'm bringing a supplement with me, and I'm going to point here because I'm going to show you an image during this podcast of it for all of these things. I'm going to bring with me a supplement from Biotics called Hydrazine. And the reason I'm bringing Hydrazine is because Hydrazine gives me additional stomach acid. And stomach acid, you guys, is our first line of defense against pathogens. So anytime I am traveling in another country, and in fact, anytime I eat out at a restaurant, when other people's hands are on my food, I'm taking Hydrazine to ensure I don't get any kind of food poisoning. I don't get something like E. coli. I don't get something that's going to make me sick, that's going to ruin the rest of my trip. So Hydrazine gives me additional stomach acid. And if you didn't know this, if you were to put your finger in your stomach right now, your stomach should be so acidic that it would burn your finger. On the pH to the acidic to alkalinity scale, the pH scale, let's pretend way over here is acidic, and I'm doing this on video. So for those of you who are just listening on audio, I'm holding up my left hand to show this would be acidic, and then my right hand would be fully alkaline, and in the middle is where we're in balance. The farthest left on the acidity scale would be battery acid. And we all know that battery acid, if you were to splash it on your skin, you would burn. You would scream. It would be so painful. The very next thing, you guys, on the acidity scale is our stomach acid. It is that acidic in there because, again, your stomach acid is your first line of defense against pathogens, viruses, bacteria, and other calamity that you might get into your body. So you kiss someone with COVID and it gets into your system, you want your stomach acid to kill it. You kiss someone who has the flu, it gets into your system, you want your stomach acid to kill it. You kill it. You eat a meal that someone prepared and they didn't wash their hands after they went to the bathroom. Sorry, guys. This is real life. This happens. You want your stomach acid to kill whatever that bacteria, pathogen, virus, other issue was. So that's why I bring Hydrazine when I travel. So I will bring a bottle of that with me, and I will take probably at least 3 tablets of Hydrazine about 5 minutes before every single meal that I eat while I am in Egypt. Keep in mind, you guys, that Egypt is a country in northern Africa, so their cleanliness practices are not going to be the same, arguably, that we would have here in the United States. But again, I haven't been there yet, so I don't know that for certain. I'm just making sure that I'm prepared. So number 1 is Hydrazine. Number 2, and I'm going to break number 2 actually into a few categories because each of these things are in the list of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that I told you. So number 2 is I just want you to think about, how do I support my body nutritionally? Okay, so remember, I always talk about fiber first, prioritizing protein, filling in with fat, and carefully adding carbs. So I'm saying to myself, what can I do about fiber? What if I'm in Egypt for 2 weeks and there are very few options for fiber? What am I going to do? So for me, I'm going to bring in my suitcase a couple sources of fiber that I can take with me on the go. So the number 1 thing is I'm going to bring a bag. I don't need to bring a full bag, but I'll probably bring about a half of a bag of organic psyllium husk. And that's because I can easily put a tablespoon of psyllium husk in a little shot of water every single day, and I can down that like a shot. And that's a great source of fiber for me, and it also supports my gut health. Also in the fiber category, I'm going to bring probably for every day of the trip, and I'm going to just continue to point here because I'm showing you all of these images as I'm recording this. I'm going to bring my new favorite thing, which is the Alavi birthday cake protein brownie. I'll get this extra little boost of protein. This will be something I can have for dessert. But you guys, these brownies have 10 grams of of fiber in them. Okay, so another 10 grams of fiber. Keep in mind, I like to eat about 40 grams of fiber a day, and I just don't know how much fibrous nutrition I'm going to have access to while I'm in Egypt. So I don't know how many vegetables there are. I don't know how much fresh fruit there will be. You know, obviously, if I really want to focus on fiber, I love having like 6 ounces of organic raspberries every single day, but I'm not going to travel with organic raspberries all the way to Egypt. So I'm going to bring psyllium husk, and I'm going to bring those Alavi birthday cake protein brownies because both of those are great sources of fiber. Another source of fiber that you can take on the go that, yes, it's also a processed food, but it's made with only allulose, are RX sugar, the brand RX sugar, Swelthy snacks bars. Those are 80 calories and they have only 8 grams of fiber in them. As of the date that I'm recording this episode, unfortunately, the Swelthy snacks bars have been out for a period of time, which I'm not happy about. So I don't know that I'll get those in time to leave for Egypt. It just depends if they get more of those in stock. But that would be another thing I'm thinking about in terms of fiber. So my biggest things are psyllium husk. I'm going to bring some of that. I'm going to bring those Alavi birthday cake protein brownies. And then I also am planning to bring RX Swelthy snacks bars if they are back in stock by the time I leave for my trip. And then, of course, the other thing is while I'm traveling there, I'm going to be looking for things like raspberries. You know, the other thing I was just thinking I might also pack, which I forgot about, forgive me, is organic chia seeds. Now, if I pack organic chia seeds, I'm not going to pack a ton of them because they're very nutrient dense, but I'm going to also be very careful that my bag is sealed very well because chia seeds, when that bag opens, if they spill, they get everywhere. They're little specks and they stick to everything. So if I bring that, which I would just probably bring like a small amount in like a very tight Ziploc bag, and then I can sprinkle those over meals. I can put those in a little bit of water and I can drink those because those are a fantastic source of fiber also. So those are the things I'm thinking of fiber. And then another thing that I'm thinking of, so I told you Hydrazine, I told you my fiber sources. Another thing I'm thinking about is, of course, protein. You know, I say fiber first and then prioritize protein. How in the world am I going to pack protein with me to Egypt? Well, number one, I'm going to be thinking of every time I order food when I'm in Egypt, assuming that I enjoy the food there and that I trust what I'm being served, I will be focusing on how I can get high quality protein. But in the event I can't, or in the event I'm concerned about it, or in the event intuitively it feels like I shouldn't be eating that, don't worry, I'm going to have sources of protein with me. So I'm going to primarily focus on bringing these things. Number one, I'm going to pack Body Health Perfect Aminos, the tablets, the coated tablets for every day of my trip. So I'll probably bring 10 pills for every single day of my trip. And I will take 5 of those tablets in the morning and I will take 5 of those tablets at night every single day of my trip because those are essentially equivalent to 2 servings of protein. So I already have those 2 servings, which I'll have with me. The other thing, and I'm, by the way, putting a photo here of the Body Health Perfect Amino tablets because those tablets are such an excellent source of protein. And by the way, for you vegetarians and vegans out there, those are vegan tablets. So if you are a vegan, I cannot impress upon you enough how important it is that you be giving your body amino acids because a vegan diet, it's very difficult to get a proper amount of amino acids in our body, especially the essential amino acids, which is what Body Health Perfect Aminos are. And that's what we need. Okay. Another essential amino acid that I love are ketone essential amino acids, and they have capsules as well. So I'm showing you an image of those here. You can get either the Body Health or the ketone amino acids. Either of them are amazing, and I'm going to bring those with me for every day of the trip. I'm also going to bring, I don't know if you know this, but Wild Planet has cans of organic shredded chicken breast with a flip top. So I'm already thinking, okay, if I pack cans of something, of a protein that I can take with me in my checked luggage, I certainly don't want to have to bring a can opener. So I'm bringing ones with a flip top. So Wild Planet organic chicken breast. It's just simply chicken breast. I'll bring that. That way I could take that with me when we go out to a restaurant in case I don't think the meat feels like intuitively like I should eat it, or I can just eat it in my room, right? I can just eat it in my hotel room. So I'm going to bring that. I'm also going to bring some flip top cans of tuna. I make no secret about the fact that Tonino brand tuna, here's an image of the one that I love the most, which is the smoked It's tuna with jalapenos and smoked olive oil. It's so good. And that way I also have the olive oil in there as well. And I just love that. And I can eat that by itself. It's just really good. I may also bring just cans of plain tuna, but the chicken cans and the tuna cans will be two things I bring for protein. I'm also going to pack some grass-fed beef sticks. So whether I get the Chomps brand or the Vermont brand or the Paleo Valley brand, or the new Primal brand. There's so many different high quality brands. The thing that I just asked you to look for when you're planning for a big trip like this are grass fed. And then, if you can get the added thing of organic, great, but grass fed is the most important. So I'll bring some of those because they're easy to pack. The last thing I'm going to bring for protein that's also very easy to pack is biltong. And if you've never heard of biltong is simply, it's almost like beef jerky, but I think it's much better and it's much more protein rich. So biltong is simply just air dried beef. So there are a few different brands on the market. Nose to Tail is one of my favorites. You can order that online. Kalahari brand, I know they sell at Whole Foods. There's also an Ioba brand. I think it's AYOBA is what I remember. But one bag of those, you guys, has 32 grams of protein and only 160 calories. So something that's akin to that biltong would be something like a Pioneer Pastures protein shake, which I love, but of course I can't pack that to Egypt because A, it'll take too much room in my suitcase, B, it's a liquid. I don't want it to open even in my check bag. I'm not going to deal with that. So if someone wants to be that adventurous and pack some of those, pre-made protein shakes in their suitcase, I suppose you could do that. But my plan is to bring biltong because you can really smash it down in the suitcase and it's much easier. So those are my primary sources of protein. And then the other thing that I'm going to think of is how am I going to support myself? Remember, we did fiber first, we did prioritized protein, and then we did healthy fats. Okay, we're going to fill in with fat. So when I'm thinking about how I can pack for healthy fats on a trip, I'm not going to pack avocados in my suitcase. They're going to spoil by the time I get there. Now, I may pack a bag or two of organic raw nuts. So I'd be thinking organic walnuts that are raw, organic macadamia nuts that are raw. Those are fantastic sources of essential fatty acids. Specifically, walnuts are so important because they have a lot of really good omega-3s. So I'm looking, when I say healthy fats, I'm like, what has omega-3? What has omega-6? So for this, I am going to pack 1 bottle of fish oil. So my high quality fish oil, just to make sure I'm getting my essential fatty acids into my body each day. Because again, I don't know what my options are going to be for nutrition. I don't know how much they're going to have by way of olives or pesto or nuts or grass-fed butter or all of these things that I would have at home. So I'm going to bring my high quality fish oil, and then I'm going to also bring a bag of nuts, like I mentioned, so like a walnuts or something. And then the last thing I'm going to bring in this category is I am going to bring my packets, because I ordered these packets, which I just love here, which are from fresh pressed olive oil, of the fresh pressed olive oil on the go. So I'm going to bring these fresh pressed olive oil packets so that I can, pour those on a salad. And I'm going to be really careful, by the way, you guys, about raw vegetables, eating those when I'm in Africa. Egypt is a country in northern Africa. And so like I mentioned, I just don't know what their hygiene practices are, how much they wash or don't wash vegetables, fruits, etc. So I'm going to be very careful about eating raw vegetables there. But let's say I order something steamed or something cooked, or it's like a big plate of sauteed greens of some sort. I could pour some olive oil on there, or I could put olive oil on top of a steak. It'll just be a great way for me to support getting that really good omega-9, which although omega-9 is not an essential fatty acid, it still is really going to support my satiety. It's going to make my food taste better. It's going to hydrate my cells. It's going to be what my body needs so that I can support my metabolic health best while I'm traveling. 2 more categories for you. So we've talked about Hydrazine. I've talked about fiber. I've talked about my protein sources. I've talked about my fatty acids. The 2 other categories that I'm planning to bring with me are how do I get my vitamins and minerals while I'm on my trip? And I'll tell you about that in a second. And then of course, you won't be surprised by this, I am going to pack creatine. So what I'll do is, since I have creatine that usually comes in a tub or some of it's in a bag, it just depends on what brand I buy. I think for this particular trip, what I'm going to do is just measure out in scoops the number of scoops of creatine I need for each day. So I'm leaving on a Saturday and I'm returning 2 Saturdays later. So it's a full 2 weeks exactly. In fact, I think by the time I get home, it's the following Sunday. So I'll just put scoops of creatine in a small Ziploc bag, like a snack bag, and then I'll pack that on my trip. So creatine is one of them. And then the last category, which I mentioned, is vitamins and minerals. So what I'm going to bring, and I've been trying this for the last several months, I'll just show you an image here, is a new sort of vitamins and mineral packets on the go, which is called IM8. So it's the number or the letter I, the letter M, and 8. And this is a relatively new supplement. I would call this a competitor. Okay, I think it's better than, this is my personal view, but I would call it a competitor to something like an AG1. So I know a lot of people take AG1. I took AG1 years and years and years ago. And to be perfectly honest with you, I really don't like the flavor of it. So here I was spending money on this expensive subscription and I wasn't drinking those greens powders each day because I didn't like it, but I genuinely like the taste of IM8. It's actually a reds powder instead of a greens powder. So I'm going to bring a packet of IM8 with me for every single day of the trip because that's going to be easier than all of my pills and potions, okay? I am going to just leave a lot of my supplements behind and leave them in the United States when I travel to Egypt. I may go through my supplements in terms of the pills that I take each day and bring some of them. Like I told you, I'm going to bring my fish oil for sure. I'm going to bring my Hydrazine for sure. I may also pack some CoQ10, some CoQ enzyme 10, simply because that can be so good for you in supporting your immune system and for travel and for getting over jet lag. So I'm going to bring some of that. And then I'm probably going to also pack away some vitamin C just to have some extra vitamin C to support my immune system. Maybe I'll pack some zinc. So I'm just thinking about, in terms of my supplements, which of those I'm going to bring. But the main thing I'm going to do to support my vitamins and minerals is to be getting this IM8 supplement, which I've really enjoyed. I've been trying it for nearly the last year. Okay, so I talked about Hydrazine, I talked about fiber, I talked about protein with the body health aminos and then those other sources. I talked about healthy fats, which is the fish oil and those other sources I mentioned. I talked about creatine, and then I talked about vitamins and minerals. As I'm saying all of this to you, I realize I forgot about one other critical category that I don't want to miss. And that is, of course, I'm going to bring lots of electrolytes. So I'm going to bring my Redmond's Relight electrolytes. And what I'm delighted about when it comes to Redmond's is they have these individual packs. So you can get the sticks for the servings. So I'm just going to get a huge bag of the variety pack, and I'm going to bring the whole bag with me because I want to make sure that I have enough sticks for the trip. So when I'm thinking about how do I pack enough electrolytes for my trip, what I'm going to bring personally is at least 2 packets for each day, probably 3. So I always put one of my packets in my morning water, and I usually do lemon water. So I'm going to have to figure out what's going to be the opportunity for lemons in Africa. In fact, in my suitcase, in my checked bag going to Egypt, I may pack a lemon for each day with my lemon squeezer because lemons are so good for detox. They're so good for stimulating your lymphatic system. They're so good for alkalinizing your body. And so I may pack a lemon for each day, and I can just get those into my suitcase. And then I have my lemon squeezer with me, and then I don't have to worry about finding lemons in Egypt. So that's probably one more thing that I'll do. But I really am going to focus on making sure I have electrolytes each day because electrolytes are so important for our overall health. Remember that electrolytes are giving you minerals. So you're getting your macro minerals from electrolytes, which are your calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, and phosphorus. And so I want to make sure that I have my electrolytes with me. So I'll probably bring 3 packs for each day. And then also in the category of electrolytes, the other thing I think I'm going to bring for each day, simply because I don't know what my access is going to be to food, and of course because I'm metabolically flexible, I know that if I had to, I could just fast for 3 days in a row if I didn't feel like the food options were good, or if I felt intuitively that my body needed a fast while I was there. Let's say I felt like, I don't want to eat at these restaurants. It feels like I might get a parasite. It feels like this food might not make me feel good. I can then intuitively just fast because of my metabolic flexibility. So on that point, in what I would say is also the category of electrolytes, I am also going to buy, and I'll show an image of these here. I'm going to order. You can simply order these off Amazon. I do have an account with them, but I'm just not a big fan of all of the MLM things out there, so I never sell this stuff. So I just personally order it on Amazon myself, even though I could order it through my account, but it's Prove It Exogenous ketones. And so because they are packets and because those help me fast longer and they help cut any sort of hunger I'm having, and they also get me into ketosis really quickly, and they have a tons of electrolytes in them, including a lot of really good B vitamins. I'm going to also bring a pack of Prove It Exogenous ketones, probably for every single day of the trip, if not 2 packets for every single day. Now, a lot of people ask me questions about exogenous ketones. They're like, Kristin, should I take those every day? Here's my answer on that. And I will do a whole podcast episode about exogenous ketones for you guys at some point. But the short version is, if you are eating, so when you are eating, it really doesn't make sense to also have a packet of ketones, because when you're in a fed state, you're generally not in ketosis unless you're eating strict ketogenic macros, unless you're eating 75 to 80% or more of your calories from fat, a very tiny amount of carbohydrate, if not zero, and then just a moderate small amount of protein. So typically when we eat, we're kicking ourselves out of ketosis anyways. So then it's counterintuitive to be then pumping your body full of exogenous ketones, because they're just another energy source that your body has to preferentially use and set the food aside that you're eating. So you're kind of just putting in extra energy in your body, when what I'd rather do is allow your body to use the energy that you just consumed in the form of food. Okay. So I'm going to bring it, and I'm going to use it strategically this way. I'll probably have my Redmond's lemon water with electrolytes every morning. And then I'll bring a packet of a packet of Prove It exogenous ketones with me, so that if I feel like I don't want to eat the lunch, we don't have access to lunch, I forgot to bring a can of chicken with me, I don't feel like eating any of the stuff I brought, whatever it is, I can have a packet of those exogenous ketones and maybe wait to eat until dinner. Now, keep in mind, I would have already had my Body Health Perfect Aminos in the morning. I would have taken those 5 tablets. I'm going to have another 5 tablets of that before bed. And then if I stay in ketosis during the day, and then I have dinner that has a decent amount of protein, I've already stimulated muscle protein synthesis in my body 3 times. And I've kept myself in ketosis, which preserves my lean muscle tissue. So that's how I'm thinking about it. I'm really going to be focused on my fiber, my protein, my healthy fats, making sure I have vitamins, minerals, making sure I have my creatine each day, and then getting that Hydrazine before I eat out at any restaurants, because I really want to make sure that I'm not getting sick while I'm on this trip. And then, of course, those electrolytes and those exogenous ketones I will also be using. I hope this episode has been helpful for you. Even if you're not traveling to Egypt, I hope you find this episode helpful in terms of any other place that you might be traveling, especially when you're going away for a longer trip, because these tips can help you no matter if you're going away for a weekend or if you're going away for as long as a month or more. Thanks so much for being a part of the Energetically Efficient community, and I will see you very soon with a new episode. Bye-bye.